Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Thursday. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, getting you ready for Thursday night football, getting you ready for week 12 across the NFL. We've got some news to get to. We're going through all of the rankings and, of course, taking your questions here today at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X if you want to send them in. Adam, how you doing? How's it going?
It's good. Another week where we made it to
Another week.
Thursday extremely quickly.
I know it's gone by quickly. And then we're just all of a sudden, it's going to be mid-March. We're going to say, "Where's the football?"
That's
I don't
usually
want
how
that
it
to happen.
goes.
I
It's a
know.
it's a common pattern that happens every single year.
I know, but we'll just enjoy it. We'll just enjoy it while we can. How are you what's your check-in right now? How are your teams doing? Who's your most disappointing player that you have?
Oh, disappointing player. Well, a lot of injuries. I'd say
Yeah.
most of my teams are pretty good. I do have a couple of bad ones that are out of it, but a couple have resurrected and come to life the last couple weeks and
Nice.
are in contention. So even my GST team. I
I
don't
know.
know.
See, you're going to make
I
this
still think
push.
it
You've
I
been
don't know.
complaining about the GST
I
team. I'm
still
like, I
think it's in
know. It's
trouble. I
good.
know. Our guy Truck, who's in the league, he's in
Mhm.
first and he listens. He texted me yesterday or 2 days ago. He's like, "Yeah, your team's looking good with the
It
some of the
is.
injuries." I wouldn't say that because if Josh Jacobs plays, then I'm in trouble because I have Emmanuel Wilson penciled in. And then if somehow Trey Benson returns this week, I have Bam Knight, so that's two guys down. And then yes, I have Bucky Irvin and Tucker, but that could also go in a bad direction where Bucky does suit up. It's a split
Yeah.
and maybe a three-way split, and they're playing the Rams Sunday night. So I think, and that's where a lot of fantasy teams are this week. You're in a
Yeah.
position where right now you don't know who's in your starting lineup. You're waiting on some injury information. So I'm right there with everyone, at least in one league. But yeah, I'd say it's been more positive for most of my teams this year. But as we know, this is a critical 3 week stretch where
Oh yeah.
you can catapult into the playoffs or fall off.
Yeah, and I was looking at some of my teams. I'm in the same spot. There's like one where I'm definitely out of it, but we don't give up. So I'm still trying in that
Yeah.
team. You hit the waiver wire, you never know. Because like you said, we still have 3 weeks until the fantasy playoffs. So a lot can happen there. A lot of my teams sitting I've got a few just right in the middle and then a few just really, really nice teams. But they've given me some duds the past couple weeks. So and that's the biggest thing this weekend. And I know a lot of people are gonna have questions on this, and we've got it written up today for the show. But we're in a wait and see mode for like three big running back decisions this week, and that's not where anyone wants to be. And you're going to hate our answers to those questions, but it's really going to be, we have to wait. The practice reports today are going to be so important, and of course the Friday ones we know are just going to be as key. But there's like three RB1s that if they're set to play, it feels like it's Jaylen Warren, it's Bucky Irving, it's Josh Jacobs. If all three of those guys go, you have to bench everyone else. You can't go and look at Emmanuel Wilson, Sean Tucker, Kenneth Gainwell, because it's just, you risk like just getting nothing.
Yeah, it really depends what you have. Like, I do think in the Bucky Irving scenario, I don't see them giving him a full workload first week back, especially after what we've seen from Sean Tucker last week.
Hmm.
But the challenging part there is it is not a good matchup. It's going up against the Rams. So
Yeah.
the Wilson thing, too, probably I do agree more on that. Jacobs, they tend to give a massive workload. And I don't think he's a guy that they just ease back in. If they feel he's good to go, they probably will give him the bulk of the workload. Maybe they mix in Wilson a little bit more, but it might not be enough to start him. So, yeah, I mean, these are key situations this week that, again, we don't have the answers to today. And
Yeah.
we probably won't have the answers till after the Friday practice reports. And even then, if we get the dreaded game time decision or
No,
we have
don't
to
say
wait till
that.
Sunday,
No.
yeah, and it'll be worse too for Bucky Irving because that game is Sunday night.
Yeah, and you're just gonna have to make a decision. The only thing I worry about with Sean Tucker is we've seen this before, right? Where he's exploded, and then all of a sudden, we don't really see it again. So that's the only thing I'm worried about with Sean Tucker in this situation. And I know Rashad
I
White, we've moved him down the rankings too.
I think it's different this time around just because Bucky Irvin is coming off an injury where he hasn't played since week 4, and it's all about taking on contact. And they might not get that answer until he takes a big hit during the game.
Ugh.
So and yeah, I know we did see it last year, and then they put him away and we never saw him again. But I think might be a little bit different this time around, just because Bucky has been out so long, and they might look at it and say, you know what, I don't think we can give him 20 touches a game. Like, why would we when we have two capable backs behind them? So they might change their mind this time around.
Is Bucky Irving the type of running back this weekend that he falls into the category of, if he is good to go, you might not start him? I know some people might be in desperation mode. So that's, again, I don't have him ranked anywhere near where he would be if he was starting, right? If you go look at our rankings at fantasylife.com, we're erring on the side of caution that maybe he's not going to play. Obviously, we would update those right away if we got the news. But does he fall into that category for you because he's been out so long and the injury was so bad?
Well, that's tough. I think it depends on the reports of what they plan to do, but I could see scenarios where you've gotten by this long. You know, he's been out since week 4. We're in week 12. Then maybe you're good. In my scenario, obviously, if he's active, I'm playing him.
You're like, I'm going.
Oh no, I don't know. But then again, what if? Nah,
Who's your
I would.
backup? Who are your other options?
Well, all my other running backs are backups, but
okay. Well, okay.
The options are like Bam Knight, Emmanuel Wilson, Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving. So
I think you have to. If
I
Trey
would
Benson
play him.
Isn't back, Bam Knight.
Oh, I'm playing him. I played him last week. That worked out.
You were it looked fantastic. So there's just a lot of questions that we have, and question marks really, that we do not have the answers to yet, but we are sitting there, and I know a lot of people are going to have them. So again, at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X, that's where you can go send in any and all fantasy questions you have for us, because we're on the stretch here, Adam. We've got 3 weeks until the fantasy playoffs. Then things get even more serious. We've got some injury, I should say some practice updates. Do you want to say Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow with what was the quote? So I know you put this in the rundown this morning. We don't know yet was the tweet from Paul Denner here about Zach Taylor, speaking on the radio. He said, we don't know yet if Joe Burrow is playing Sunday. When asked directly if Joe Burrow is playing. So I know he was back at practice yesterday for the first time since his injury, was a full participant in Wednesday's practice, which is great to know. He was eyeing Thanksgiving to come back. Do you think we actually see him this weekend? No way.
I'm not sure. I think there's a possibility since he put in a full practice. The other thing that you have to take into account is maybe they're doing this to get him ready for Thanksgiving, because it's a short week next week. They play Thanksgiving at 8:20 p.m. Eastern in Baltimore. They're not going to have any grueling practices next week, right? Because it's a short week. It's Thanksgiving. So they're not going to be able to give Burrow a true test next week. So my guess is they're doing it this week, putting him through it. I would want to see what he does today. How does the toe respond? How does his body respond? So my guess is probably Thanksgiving. But when I did see full practice, immediately I was like, oh, wow, that's a good sign.
I know, I was
shocked. But then I said, oh, wait, they play next Thursday. So maybe this is their only opportunity really to get him through full practices, because I don't see them having full practices next week, or they'll be like light walkthroughs. So how are you going to be able to figure out, okay, is he fine? Can he play Thursday night? So I think they're doing it this week, but maybe he says, I feel great. And then after today's practice, if he's out there, maybe it's limited today, and he goes, I feel great. And then they go, all right, well, and then talk to the medical staff, and then it's possible. Again, they need every game. I mean, if they have to win. So I guess there's a chance, but I would lean towards Thanksgiving that he returns.
Yeah, I would too, because like you said, they're going to be traveling. They're on the road for that Thanksgiving game against the Ravens. So it's Bengals going up against the Ravens. And then this week, obviously, you've got the Patriots going up against the Bengals. Bengals are at home in this one. But I think good news nonetheless, right? You can't look at this any other way other than positive, especially if you were a team that picked Joe Burrow up. I remember last week we were talking with Dwayne McFarland, and we said, if you're a team that is really thriving right now and you have the ability to pick him up, not start him right away, and get him for that playoff push, like, you're going to be pretty happy if he really does come through, because their playoff schedule, not bad. I mean, this Ravens defense we've talked about before, they're getting healthier and they're getting better. So they take on the Ravens to start week 15. Then the Bengals are on the road against the Dolphins, and the Bengals are at home against the Cardinals for championship weekend. So not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I do have Burrow in a few leagues, so nice. I wound up picking him up.
There you go. You're like, please start. What about the super? Please tell me you have him
No,
in
I
that one
didn't.
super flex
I
league
didn't have
with
enough
Tyler
money.
Shug. Oh
I didn't have enough
no!
money.
How much did he go for? Probably a lot, huh? In that super flex
Yeah,
format,
whoever had a lot of money left obviously got him.
they spent it all. They were
That
like,
was a
we
league
have
I
to.
needed IR spots because I drafted him.
Mm,
So it would have been great.
dang,
Put him
that
on the IR
stings.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's really nothing
No,
you can do
I mean,
about
look,
it. You
at that
couldn't.
point, we you couldn't wait that long. We have 6 bench spots in that league, and it's a super flex league. So some people have a third quarterback. You have buys and everything. There's no regret in that decision. We talk
No.
about this all the time. There are some decisions you make that are going to be right at the time. Maybe in this situation, Burrow comes back earlier than anticipated. That one I don't regret. There's other decisions you're like, yeah, that was stupid. Why did I make that? That one, no, I don't regret it one bit.
Speaking of the Bengals, though, Joe Flacco is a faller for us in our fantasy rankings. Again, you might have him again super flex formats, but I think the loss of Jamar Chase, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, T. Higgins gets a bump, but the matchup is not. I mean, he gets a plus matchup this weekend going up against the Patriots. They've given the number 5 fantasy boost to quarterbacks 3.5 points, but he is more mid-range QB2 status for Week 12. Saw a question on that, so just wanted to hit that right there. The last one is that Lamar Jackson missed practice yesterday with an ankle injury. It looks like it's business as usual, Adam, unless we hear something different as the week continues on. But Harbaugh was asked about that, said it was kind of the same type of situation that they were in last week when he was sidelined for a day and then played. So I don't think we have to worry about this necessarily yet, but it does go to show. I was thinking about this on Sunday, Adam, when these games were going on and watching Lamar. He just I don't you think Lamar by January, if they're out of the playoff race, whatever it is, that we're going to hear that he played through some type of injury because he just doesn't look 100% healthy, and I don't think he is.
Well, yeah, he had the hamstring injury,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
feels like he's playing through some things that's just not that's kind of wearing him down a little bit.
I think the next few weeks will be telling because these matchups are much better. I mean, Cleveland is a tough matchup. It's a
Mm,
divisional opponent. He came back that first game against the Dolphins, started slowly, looked rusty, and then had 4 touchdowns and 204 passing yards. The rushing is obviously a big part of his game, and that has been a little concerning because we haven't really seen him run much, and when he has run much, it hasn't been for a lot of yards.
mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't. He doesn't really score touchdowns anymore, anyway. Like that was not a big part of his game. Even last year, he only scored 4 rushing touchdowns. I think with Derrick Henry there, they don't have a need to use him near the goal line. Why get him banged
Yeah.
up when you got Derrick Henry? So, but I think that was obviously calculated into his projections. If people were drafting him, you knew that he was not going to get you a lot of rushing touchdowns. But the schedule is really favorable upcoming. So, to me, if he can't get it done against the Jets and the Bengals, then you
Oh,
do
you're
have
in a
to worry.
panic. Oh my gosh. And what are you going to do at that point? There's not It's going to be a hard situation. Like I can never see myself in a situation where I say stream someone else ahead of Lamar Jackson. Like that's just going to be the tougher conversation. I think too what we've seen is Derrick Henry. So over the last 4 games, you've seen him average 16 points, but it feels like for the Ravens right now, we're seeing them center itself like on the playoff push around the ground game. Like we're going to see I think a little bit more Derrick Henry. They know that that's what they just need to do. Over the last 4 games, they have a minus 9% dropback rate over expected, and that's the second most run heavy team in the NFL right now. So you see the shift. I was looking through maybe players that could have been disappointing this year. Zay Flowers has to be, I don't know. I have no Zay Flowers, but man, Zay Flowers, when you look at some of these stats that I was looking at last night, Adam, I mean, since Lamar Jackson's return, you've got 6 targets per game, 22.6% target share, no touchdowns, 12.3 PPR points per game, which I think puts him at a wide receiver 30 pace. But maybe he gets it done this weekend, like you said, against the Jets, who, gave up everyone. You don't have Sauce there. You've got players a little bit banged up. They're number 31 in defensive pass DVOA. So maybe this is the day that we get a Zay Flowers breakout, but that's been disappointing.
Yeah, I was completely out on Zay
Yeah,
Flowers this
you
year.
haven't liked Zay Flowers for a couple years
Well,
now.
no, I like the player. I don't like his situation. My whole
Yeah.
point to him was that he's a guy that's just not going to get a lot of touchdowns. He's not a big red zone threat, and he needs long touchdowns to get to the end zone. And it's always Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews. He's not going to get red zone touchdowns. And
Mhm.
then the first 2 weeks of the season, he looked really good. And I was like, oh boy, he had 14 receptions the first 2 weeks of the season. So
I
think
remember
about
you
that.
saying like, "Ooh, this might
20
not be
and
good."
20 targets.
Yes.
I was like, damn, I didn't expect this. I thought they would spread the ball around like they always do. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1.
No. That's what I'm
And
telling you. It's
yeah,
been a little bit mid.
now you look at he's had at least 10 points in PPR every week since week 4, but no ceiling game close to what we saw in week 1. So this is kind of more how I envision his role in the offense. And to me, that was not really a player that I want. Again, he's solid if you have him. He's getting you 10 to 12 points, but I think you try and want to get someone that can give you a higher ceiling in that area.
Definitely.
Like, I'm trying to remember, like, I guess he was around like the Roma Dunze, Chris Olave area, and
It was
I
like
like those
5th
guys better.
round. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
like those guys
1,000%.
better.
But that's why you're still a little bit disappointed, because that it felt like he was at the very end of the teardrop, right? Where we said, okay, you get your final wide receivers in this range, and then you go for, the other running backs. But still, to get, or the lack of fantasy points, to get the lack of fantasy points that he's been giving you, like you said, the ceiling games just aren't really there. And over these next couple weeks, you mentioned the schedule for the Ravens, but over the next 4 games, I mean, Derrick Henry gets to play the Bengals twice. And that's the number one boost to opposing running back rooms. If you don't think that they're just going to allow him to to get as many touches as he can during those couple of games, like we're just going to be laughing about it. We're going to be like, yeah, there's Derrick Henry. Never mind. He's still
And
there.
then you might get a 64-yard Mark Andrews tush push run too against the Bengals.
Perfect. Yeah, that's true. Mark Andrews. What do we I did have to move him up my rankings a little bit. I
Yeah,
rage
two
dropped him
matchups against the
a long time
Bengals.
ago.
Ooh, boy.
I know. And Isaiah Likely too. Like maybe we have to pick Likely up a little bit.
He's been non-existent.
I know. I've been shocked. Well, because there were all the rumors that Mark Andrews was going to get, he's in the contract year. It was the same thing with David Njoku, but both of them are just like, no, I'm still
You know what
around.
though?
You can't
We
get rid
might
of
be
me.
maybe we get like a prop of Likely around like 14.5
That's
receiving
what I'm
yards
saying.
against
I
the
think
Bengals.
you'd have to take that.
I might have to consider that.
I have Isaiah Likely tight end 22 this week just because of the matchup. And then once they get to the Bengals, it's going to be even better.
Yeah, it's just if you were hoping that he would do something, it has not worked out because
No.
barely involved in the offense. Every game below 60 yards except one.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea was that, maybe we get the Mark Andrews that started the year last year, and then they just start to go a little bit younger. But it really hasn't happened. And maybe that's in their plans for the future. I have no idea, but we haven't seen it this year. So tight end 22 going into the weekend. But he's not moving up yet. Not until we see those Bengals games, because that's going to be the most important part. We play everyone against the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to continue on though. Speaking of rankings, I want to go through some of the risers and some of the fallers going into week 12. We're going to bring up Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery, and more here coming up next. All right, you guys know I'm going to this concert tonight. I'm going to see Sabrina Carpenter, and I'm really excited, but I know I'm going to be home like at maybe 11:30. I'm not going to want to wake up for the show tomorrow. I'm going to do it anyways, but I never want to skip a meal, and sometimes I do that when I'm just a little bit tired. I've got so much stuff going on, so I want to talk to you about Huel, because in these Huel drinks, you don't have to worry about the sugar, or if you're going to be hungry again in the next 20 minutes. Their Be Ready to Drink shakes have 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no sugar added, gluten-free, and they're under $5 per meal, which is so important. They also have the daily greens that we've been talking about. So like Adam, when he doesn't get all the vegetables in, he can go to the daily greens drink because he needs the vitamins, he needs the minerals. But if you're looking for that, go and get that peach hibiscus. That is my favorite. They were developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. 42 vitamins and minerals and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 gram of sugar. So make sure that you're not skipping meals. I know the holidays are coming up. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched in Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code FANTASYLIFE at www.huel.com/fantasylife. Use my code, fill out that post-checkout survey to help support the show. Oh, we are back right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Thursday. Adam's jealous. I'm going to Sabrina Carpenter tonight. He's already texted me. He's like, do you have an extra ticket? I said, no, I'm sorry. If you left right after the show, maybe you can make it.
All right. So if I do somehow make that happen and
you'd
show
have to
up.
buy your own. You'd have to buy your own.
That's messed up.
Sorry.
You can't.
I don't have an extra.
You can't do that. Tease
Why?
me like, oh, if you make it here, and then
Oh,
I
so
say,
you
okay, if
do
I
wanna
make it
go.
happen. Not really. I think I'd have much more
Oh.
fun watching Bills Texans tonight.
Well, that's true. I know. I got to get my lineups all set. I don't think that show's going to start until it's going to be close to the when the game's over. So I think I might catch that whole game. Oh, it's going to be so late. A lot of Folgers tomorrow.
Oh,
Let's just
you'll
say
be
that.
fine.
A lot of Folgers. That's what we're doing. Rankings, risers and fallers. That's what we're also talking about here on Fantasy Life, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. We were talking about Brock Purdy in the break. I'll just say that Brock Purdy has definitely risen throughout the rankings that you can find at fantasylife.com. So make sure you go and head out over there. We're updating them every single day. But Brock Purdy, let me make sure. Yeah, consensus QB8 on the weekend. So he is someone that we saw week 11. He gave us 19.3 fantasy points. I know it was against the Cardinals. I understand that. But when we look at these games that Brock Purdy could give us, you have to just know that he's a riser in these rankings. The 49ers, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule that they have. They came in with the easiest strength of schedule for the season, and they might be a team that just kind of starts running away a little bit here, Adam. But QB8 for Brock Purdy, if you waited on him, you were at least really happy last weekend with the performance that he gave you.
Yeah, I did see him during that time in some leagues dropped. I did pick him up in one league. I could have used him in another and got outbid, but
Tough.
yeah, look, I get it because we were to a point where it's like every week, all right, yeah, oh no, he's not playing. Oh, he's not
Yeah,
playing. And we're sitting
exactly.
there waiting like, okay, when are you going to return? And Mac Jones was solid in his absence. But yeah, the 49ers, the offense is clicking and they're getting healthy. We saw Ricky Pearsall return last week. I know he didn't do much, but getting him back helps. And George Kittle looks healthy. The first couple weeks he didn't do much, and he's had a couple of big games since then. And you got McCaffrey doing what he
Yeah.
does, and in the passing game too, certainly helps the quarterback. So yeah, it's a good spot. Carolina's been middle of the pack defensively for quarterbacks, but I think we've seen Purdy when he is out there. He's capable of having these games of 3-4 passing touchdowns. So, yeah, I think Purdy's in a good spot this week.
Yeah, definitely. 49ers are 7-point favorites, 27.5 point team total the last time I looked as well. So that's got to be one of the highest team totals for week 12. So you're looking at all that. I'm looking at the projections at fantasylife.com. Xfinity best ceiling projection, 22.3 fantasy points. Then you've got 14.7 as the median, but you're definitely going to take both of those guys there. The next one I wanted to talk about here was Kenneth Walker. Could we say nice things about Kenneth Walker or no? Maybe
Yes,
not.
we're allowed
Maybe.
to.
We're
Doesn't
allowed
mean that
to.
they're true.
Do you think we'll say nice things about him the rest of the season? So he was a rankings riser for me. He's got the edge right now ahead of Zach Charbonnet. Again, we talked with Matthew Berry about this yesterday. Kenneth Walker looks better. I don't know why we're in this, except my only thought, Adam, is that they want to make sure that he just doesn't get overworked and he doesn't get hurt. But I'm looking at the last 3 games since Seattle's come off their bye week. So he leads in snaps. This is Kenneth Walker, leads Zach Charbonnet in snaps, attempts, participation rate, route participation rate as well. So he's gained a little bit of an edge also inside the 5-yard line, which is something that we'd kind of been waiting for. Do you think the trend continues though? They're huge favorites in this game this weekend too, by the way. 13.5 point favorites, 27-point team total. The Titans are not a good football team. So I'm really hoping that Kenneth Walker lives up to. I have him as a low end RB2, and I might by the end of the week move him up to like mid range RB2.
You saw the quote from Mike McDonald on Monday, right?
Ugh,
He
I don't want to
said
talk about
he's
it.
showing that he's earning more opportunities to get the ball on Walker. He's been doing that all year. I don't know why.
Exactly.
I don't know why you're saying that now, but at least that gives you a little bit of hope. The matchup is what is appealing. They should
Mhm.
absolutely pummel Tennessee and be in control of this game. He's also capable of breaking off these long runs. So maybe this is the week he breaks off a 40, 50-yard touchdown run. So you do feel better about him. But at the same time, it's like, well, what if he gets inside the 10 and it's all Charbonnet and that's
I
the game
know.
script this week and Charbonnet scores the 2 touchdown and Walker's doesn't get them. So, but yeah, I do think of all weeks and hearing the coach say that, even though again, that's been the case all year for all of us.
Maybe
We've
we're
been
missing
saying it.
something. Maybe it's us.
I don't know. So
I don't know.
unless something is going on in practice, but that doesn't seem to be any case or indication.
It's so weird.
So, yeah, you do feel better about him this week. A lot of weeks, you're just like, the last few, you're like, I can't start him. I can't start him. But
Hmm.
I think this week is the first time in many weeks that you put him in and you go, I could actually see this working out. It doesn't mean you're comfortable, but you see that there could be a ceiling game for him. Titans were good against the run last week. They held down Woody Marks. I think that's
Well, I
more the
mean,
offensive
yeah.
line for the Texans. Uh, but they have given up the fifth most fantasy points to the running back position.
Yeah, you have to look at this and at least feel good. You know what that means, though, Adam. On Overreaction Monday, it'll be, a Zach Charbonnet 2 touchdown game.
And
Kenneth Walker barely
or a
out there.
Holani with two.
Oh, stop. Please don't. I mean, at least can we have some happiness here in this Seahawks backfield just a little bit, but I'm with you. And the Titans, I mean, they've given up the number 5 fantasy boost to opposing backfields, 3.2 points per game. Like I said, I've got him as a low end RB2, but the projections you like at fantasylife.com, the median projection, you're looking at 11.1, Xfinity best ceiling projection 18.1 as well. So that could be a good one. T. Higgins. We know that he's an upgrade on him, but how much, like really, how much of an upgrade are we looking at here? So I'm gonna go to our rankings that I forgot to bring up, but T. Higgins has to be one of the biggest risers. So he is my wide receiver 7 this week. Consensus actually at fantasylife.com, wide receiver 7. So he's around 7, 9 for Waz, 9 for Friedman, 8 for Dwayne, and Ian actually has him at wide receiver 6. We know that because Jamar Chase is not going to be out here because of his suspension, that T. Higgins is going to be the biggest beneficiary of those vacated targets. But what are your expectations for him? Do you think he could actually live up to a wide receiver 7 ranking this weekend?
He could. I do worry that Christian Gonzalez is likely going to be on him most of the time. But we have seen, though, when Chase is out, Higgins tends to put up big games in the past. We also don't know who the quarterback is, but we'll
Yeah.
assume right now it's Flacco. And if Burrow plays, hey, that's great. But either way, you have T. Higgins, you're playing him. You just got to hope that Gonzalez doesn't cover him 100% of the time. Or, I mean, again,
And I
it's a
don't think
tough
he will.
matchup. It's a tough matchup for Gonzalez, too. We always talk about these top cover corners. It's also tough for them when they're facing a top receiver.
Yeah.
And all it takes is 1 or 2 plays, get wide open, make a big play. But either way, you're starting T. Higgins this week. And yeah, he's got to be in the top 10.
Yeah, he has to be. And I don't think like Gonzalez is not going to follow, I don't think Higgins every single play because New England, when you look, they play zone coverage 67% of the time. So depending on what they're looking at for Higgins, he's averaged 54.4 yards this season. What's his line? His line has to be higher than that. It's got to be
Oh,
65,
good
right?
question. I played it last week.
It's got to be 65.
Last week, I got it early in the week at 54 and a half. I
Oh
think
my
it went up
gosh.
to as high as 59 and a half, but there's no way we're getting
Nice.
that number
There's
this
no
week.
way.
Right
I'm
now, it is
guessing 65.
60. So I see 65 and a half on
Okay.
BetMGM and then 68 and a half on FanDuel and Caesars, 71 and a half on DraftKings. So it is a pretty big discrepancy. So if you are in on T. Higgins, you better go bet it now on BetMGM
Go
because that's the
get
best
it.
number.
Yeah, he would. I think if it was not for him facing Gonzalez, he'd be a top 5 play everywhere. But because of that, just because of how good Gonzalez has looked this season too, like of the corners to play at least 50% of their team's coverage snaps, he ranks number 5 in the toughest matchups. So again, we know that he's probably not going to be with Higgins every single play, but he's going to be with him a lot of the time. So again, if it wasn't for that, I think he'd be top 5 across the board everywhere. But we've got good projections for T. Higgins, 23.2 Xfinity best ceiling projection. Median sitting at 15.8. You just hope that everyone has a good day here. I mean, Chase Brown, that's a little bit tougher for him this weekend. We'll just say that.
Yeah, especially on the ground. We've been
Yeah,
talking
it's
all
tough.
year about how great New England has been against the run. They finally allowed a running back to go over 50 rushing yards
Mhm.
the last 2 weeks, but it's barely. I mean, Sean Tucker had 9 for 53, Breece Hall had 14 for 58. So you have to look to Brown in the passing game, I think, to get it done.
Yeah, you'd have to
His
because that's going to be
receiving yards
tough.
prop is 26 and a half, and his receptions is 4.5. So you would think that they're going to have to get him more involved in this game, in the passing game. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do on the ground against New England.
I mean, the Patriots against running backs and rushing yards allowed per game, they're first, sitting at 58.6 yards per rush attempt, 0.40, and then second in fantasy points allowed. It's a tough matchup. It's always something different though, Adam. When we say it's a matchup, when I've seen people say matchup to avoid, but it's sometimes hard to avoid someone that you picked in the second round of your draft.
Yeah,
It's just tough.
yeah, you're playing Chase Brown pretty much, unless you're in a shallow league and have like a plethora of options. But the other thing too with New England, it's not crappy running backs. They've
No,
faced
it's
Devon
everyone.
Achane,
Yes.
Genty, James Cook, Rico Dowdle, Bijan Robinson.
Hmm.
So they've done it against some of the top running backs. You cannot run on them.
Okay, what about this though? Chase Brown, because I've seen that there's a few leagues that still have the trade deadline, and that's probably the end of it this weekend. What about buying Chase Brown right now? Because I'm looking at their playoff schedule, and he does not have bad matchups. Even from weeks 14 to 16, starting at week 14, they face the Bills, Ravens, and the Dolphins. So I'm looking at this like maybe he could be a buy, especially if he's coming off maybe a potential low. Well, no, you'd have to do it before this game, but I'm looking at him like maybe if someone's a little bit asleep at the wheel, a little bit nervous, or just not paying attention, you could maybe go and get him.
Yeah, he hasn't been scoring much on the ground or touchdowns, just 3 total touchdowns. But you also seen with Samaje P right now, and he looks like he's out again.
Yeah.
22 targets the last 2 games. And then if you get Joe Burrow back too, that will certainly help and actually can help him on the ground. So, yeah, the volume is there. He's playing back to over 90% of the snaps. So,
Hmm.
yeah. And yeah, you were saying you can't. Yeah, because I would think a lot of trade deadlines have got to be like today or tomorrow.
It has to be.
Yeah, I don't
Usually
think
they don't go into the weekend
right.
because then
So
it gets weird with the
so you
starters.
can't wait to have him have a down game and then trade for him.
That's what
So
that's
it
what
would
I was
have to
just gonna
be
say. I was
yeah, it
like,
would
maybe
have
you
to be
wait till
now.
after Sunday, but no, you're gonna have to do it right now, and then just
Did you
live with
make
the
any trades
consequences.
this year?
Ugh, no.
Yeah, there was none in my home league.
I got Did I? No. And you know what? I think every single year I need to try. I think I need to try a little bit harder. Maybe in leagues that are, that I just do for fun, with no money attached, because I think getting trades done is a really tough aspect of fantasy football that not a lot of people are able to do.
I feel like it's getting more difficult to trade year after year. Again, I do play in a
I
lot of
agree.
leagues with no trades, but I do have a few. I sent some offers this year in my home league and were rejected, and I gave up.
See, exactly. Then we're like, okay, it's not going to work. I'm just going to, we're just going to dance with the guys that brought us, right? It's going to be fine here. Week 12 biggest questions. We've got a lot of questions. I've got a lot of questions. First of all, can we just Xavier Worthy? We need to talk about Xavier Worthy and Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk about these RB1s again as well. We're going to break that down here coming up next. All right, we've got the biggest questions heading into week 12. There's a lot of them, Adam. I always have a lot of questions. First of all, what's going on with Xavier Worthy? Nothing actually. We can answer that pretty quickly, right? Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. That team, by the way, I was looking again. I was looking through some of these stats that they've got going on, and they're just not. I mean, it's very obvious. The clutch gene is kind of gone this season. For a team that we saw last season go 12-0 in one-score games, including the playoffs, the Chiefs are 0-5 this season in one-score games. And when you dive a lot deeper into some of those stats and why that is, The Athletic had a great article on it if you guys want to go and read about it. But they're just it's been Patrick Mahomes backed up against the wall, against a corner. He just hasn't been able to do it. And the other part of this is that really Xavier Worthy, if you drafted him, pure disappointment for the last however many weeks now, right? I mean, he has topped 50 yards just twice. He scored 1 touchdown on the season. It's You just have to shake your head at some point, because we knew that we would have to downgrade Xavier Worthy once Rashee Rice came back into the fold. But over the last 4 games, I mean, you're seeing Travis Kelce step up in these moments, and it's not been Xavier Worthy. It's just been bad, and it doesn't
It-
feel like it's going to change,
no,
right?
it's not changing at all because you knew as soon as Rice came back, that was a question mark, like what's going to happen, and it's been pretty bad. So the deep ball just hasn't been there. They tried it. Mahomes actually tried it multiple times early in the game against Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there like, what is this, schoolyard? Because he was dropping back and just throwing deep balls, and none of them connected. So, and then Worthy also, it was a Wednesday practice, but didn't practice with an ankle injury. Yeah, it is not good. You have to find a way to go in a different direction if you haven't already. I do have Worthy in 2 leagues. One of them I kind of have to play him because it's a short bench and bye weeks and injuries and trying to fill the running back. And another one where I have been playing him, thank goodness, with the bye weeks not done, but not as many teams on bye. I can get him out of my lineup this week, and I don't plan to get him back in because, again,
Yeah.
it's not working out at all. And, Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown are in the mix too. So it's just really difficult. Worthy has not shown the ability to make that big play, and the volume's not there. So he's really hurt you if you had him in your lineups the last few weeks.
At this point, if you're playing him, you're just hoping for that long reception, right? That's all you can hope.
Or
that he
you're
comes down with.
eliminated and don't have any good options.
Well, that too.
It
But we
could be-
still try. We never
Oh
give
no,
up.
yeah. Look, nothing is more angry when everyone's who's listening is gonna go through this year. You're in a tight battle for a playoff spot.
Mhm.
You're looking at the matchups for the week and you go, oh, I really need this team to lose. Let me see who they're playing. And then you look at the opponent's lineup and they got an injured guy in the starting lineup, a guy in bye, and you're like, come on. So if you're in that situation, do you message that person and say, hey, could you please set your lineup this
Yeah.
week?
No,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm someone that does that. I don't know.
I mean,
Do
I think you
you?
should.
Yeah, I think you should too.
It's like, hey, I know you're eliminated and your team sucks, but could you please set your lineup so I have a
Don't
shot
be
to
that
it?
person
I don't say it
also.
that way, but
I bet you're meaner than that. I'll bet
no,
you
I'm
are.
not. You don't want to anger them where they just like, you know what? I'm not helping you.
Don't be that person also. I hope you're not in a league where people are like that. That just bugs
Yeah,
me.
it's just look, it doesn't take much to set your lineup. And
No.
you don't want to, because you know what's going to happen is you'll be in the opposite position next year. So don't take on that karma. Just set your
Yeah,
lineup. I'm
just
not
say
saying you have to go and spend a half hour on the waiver wire and add pickups. You don't have to do that, but at least set your lineup. Don't have injured guys in there. Don't have bye week players on there.
Mhm.
Don't have crappy players in your lineup. It's just do it for the integrity of the league.
No one listening to us does that. There's no chance.
I don't
We've
know.
got great listeners. Stop. Get out of here. Biggest issue with Mahomes and Worthy, again, lack of chemistry on those deep balls. Like you're not seeing them connect. And again, I don't think at this point, Adam, because it's been different. I know that you could push back and say, well, we said the same thing about the chemistry with Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford, and now look at how good they are. But we're 11 weeks into this, Adam. I feel like if we haven't seen this change, unless it's really positive regression, which again, I just don't see happening. You have to keep Worthy where he's been. Even though I want to be the optimistic person and say, yeah, they're just going to start connecting and the chemistry is going to get better. It just doesn't feel like it. So you have to continue to lower Xavier Worthy and your expectations for him. And yeah, like I said, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, they both have more fantasy points than him this season. Rushy Rice, it's tough out there.
Yeah, it's been really disappointing. I
good.
mean, it's been a total bust of a pick.
For sure. Where was he going? I can't
Well, it
remember.
depends.
The fourth round?
Yeah, because remember, once we got word that Rice was out, he started to move up.
Yeah.
The thing is, for me, I know he actually fell in my draft, which is the reason why I took him. Like, he wasn't a target for me, and he kind of fell, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm getting him here as my, I think, fourth or fifth receiver. So I was like, all right, I'll take that shot, and it has been a complete flop. He's been we haven't really talked about it enough. He's been one of the worst picks this year. I know you're going to tell me Brian Thomas. At least Brian Thomas gets you 10 points when he's out there. Worthy,
barely.
It's like getting 5. And I know Thomas was more first, second round pick. Oh my. You know where Worthy is in points per game in PPR format as a receiver?
Oh, he has to be 46.
58.
Oh. I thought mine was bad. Like the number I threw out just now.
It's
been awful.
His highest total this year is 17.1. And that
was back in week 4.
Week 4.
Yes.
And then ever since then, he has done absolutely nothing. It's been 10.2, 10, 7.8, 10.3, 5.3, 5.5. Yeah, it's been really bad.
No, it's been horrible. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
And I think the problem is the other problem is, I guarantee you there's been a lot of people just starting him every week because they go, well, he can make a big play. He can score a touchdown. It is not happening. I know what's going to happen now. We're talking about this.
I
Everyone's
know.
going to
You know
bench
what he's
him.
gonna. You know what
He's
he's
going to
gonna
have
do.
like 90 yards and a touchdown
Yeah,
this week
we're gonna get the
or two.
messages. Yeah, if he does that, we'll apologize on Monday.
He's
How's
going to
that?
score like on a 24-yard end around.
That's all you're waiting for, though. Like, really, that's all it is, because he doesn't get those lower ADOT. He doesn't get anything low like that because of Rashee Rice. Like, he's not just getting these dink and dunk things because Rashee Rice is back. So that is really what you're hoping. Almost like how we talked about Alec Pierce earlier in the year. That's it. You're just hoping that they connect on a deep throw and that he's able to find the end zone.
Yeah. And we need to see Rice have a good game. That was a
That would be
disappointing
nice
game
too.
last week.
Yeah. Well, it was Denver.
Yes, it was.
I lowered him a little bit in my rankings. This will be a great game going up against the Colts. We'll see how it fares. But yeah, I mean, Rashee Rice, the 9.8 fantasy points, the 3 weeks prior before their bye, 23.2, 25.5, 18.6. That is the range that you want. So they're taking on Indianapolis, then they go on the road against Dallas. Ooh, you'll have
On
fun
Thanksgiving,
with that one.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Will it?
Houston Chargers, no. Tennessee and Denver to finish. No, of course not, to finish things off. I've got more questions. I've got 3 other handcuffs you need to be a little bit early on. And if you are, it could really pay off down the stretch here. And we're going to go through defensive streamers here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life on this Thursday. The vibes are immaculate. We've got the best listeners around, and we're going to make sure to answer as many questions as we can, going through defensive streamers here as well. I've got a trade question, though, because we were talking about the trade deadline for fantasy leagues. It has to be sometime this week, right? If not today, tomorrow. It's whatever. It's close, and this has to be the last weekend as well. So I see this question here from Roddy saying, "Hey, trade question, 12-team full PR. I would give up TreVeyon Henderson and Rome Odunze. I'd receive James Cook and Drake London." Now, here's the other part. My other running backs, I know, just wait. My other running backs and wide receivers are Kyron Hall, Corum, Brian Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Pittman. Adam, I know Drake London. I understand it. I'm nervous about it. And I do not want to trade for an injured player that we know is already going to be out for a week. And maybe it could be more. That's the only thing I'm looking at here.
But it sounded like he really could use a running back, unless you believe TreVeyon Henderson is going to be the main guy in the backfield the rest of the year. And do we believe that? Right? Because he said Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Corum, and who was the other?
Kyron Hall, Corum, B-Rob. So those are both, backups, handcuffs.
It really
Drake London, though, I
know, I get that, and I'm with you. I hate whenever I get these questions dealing for injured players, I'm always against it. But in this case, you're getting James Cook.
I know, but you could have Drake London out the rest of the year.
Yeah, but what he said, he has the other receivers are Lamb, Brown,
CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Pittman. That's it.
That's okay. I mean, you could get by with that. I know AJ Brown's a pain in the ass. I get that.
He's so awful.
But I don't know. You say no.
I say no because at this point in the season, I'm not comfortable trading for an injured player. And with the downgrade of Kirk Cousins, I don't necessarily like that either.
I agree on the injured part. The only reason why my eyes are open to it is you're getting James Cook. Yeah, so now you get a combo of Kyron Williams and James Cook. And then at the worst case scenario, your flex is between Breece Hall and Pittman, or even A.J. Brown on a given week. I can live with that. Because, look, Odunze is a problem too.
Oh, he's been bad. And
right.
The schedule coming up for brutal. Them is awful.
But it's more on Caleb Williams because they have become a run-heavy team. And they're not going to pass him. I'm very worried about Caleb Williams. Well, and he's my starting quarterback in a league.
Well, he for most people should be a spot start where you just look at the matchup and that's how you know when to start him, because he's not this guy that you say every single week, oh yeah, it's Caleb Williams, that's my QB1, I have to start him, unless, I've got him in one league as well where I just have no better options. But all right, so you would do it. Tell Roddy to do it. This is a good one.
It is a good one. I mean, it also comes down to, again, like, what's the belief in TreVeyon Henderson in his role going forward? Like, if you feel like Henderson is going to be fine and maybe he doesn't, obviously not going to get 20 touches, but if you think Henderson's going to get around 12 touches per game and catch 3-4 passes, then yeah, if you have enough faith in him, then you could just hold and not do that deal. It's just James Cook to me is someone that I know Cook has had a couple of down games, but
Yeah,
we've
but it's
seen
still James
when
Cook.
you go away from James Cook, that's when the offense falters. And even last week in
Yeah.
a game where he didn't put up much on the ground, he came through in the passing game in a big way.
I mean, 20.4 fantasy points. You've got a few duds in there, but it's only 4.9 or 3 through 4.9, 8.7, 10.7. The rest has been 15 plus fantasy outings, with most of them being in the 20 plus range.
I'll say
James
this:
Cook
if
has
he
been good.
leans towards doing the trade, I wouldn't
Then
talk
do
him
it.
out of it.
All
Yeah.
right. I would agree with that. I would just say if you're nervous, if your gut feeling is I don't want to trade for an injured player on a team that's obviously downgraded with Kirk Cousins, then I'd go the other way. That was a really good trade question. We've got more great questions coming up though from you guys, and we're going to go through the news and notes that you need to know here. It is time for that Fantasy Life water cooler. We're heading there next. It is about that time for the Fantasy Life water cooler. We go through all the pieces of news that you might have missed here and get you up to speed and ready for week 12 to set those lineups. We've got Thursday night football tonight, so I know some people are going to have some start sit questions. I've seen some come in already at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X is where you can send in those questions. If you want to call in, please do. 888-963-2682 is the phone number, or you can press that new calling button on the Sirius XM app if that's where you are listening to us from. So make sure you get your questions in. We're going to go through as many as we can. FantasyLife.com, though, if you can't do any of that today, if you're just a little bit too busy, make sure you go over there because this is my favorite part of the week. We've got great articles out from everyone over there, but especially our rankings. They're updated, and you can go and check those out. Articles 100% free, and the newsletter. So FantasyLife.com, you can go subscribe to that newsletter. While you're there as well, SXM20 gets you 20% off at checkout for the Tier 1 or Tier 2 Fantasy Life Plus subscriptions. And like Matthew Berry said yesterday, we've got our own YouTube channel. So make sure you guys go and check that out. We'll tweet it out after the show, but go and give that some love if you guys feel like it. Subscribe, like, whatever you can do, because we really appreciate it. So let's get into it here, Adam. I'll just hit the couple pieces of news that we talked off the top of the show just to make sure people know. Lamar Jackson did miss practice yesterday with that ankle injury. We should be getting news here in the next couple hours that he's back and good to go at practice. Harbaugh did say it was kind of the same type of situation that we saw last week where he was sidelined for a day and then he was able to play. So if you have Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but we're going to keep an eye on it. And then Joe Burrow was a full participant at practice for the first time since his injury yesterday. They're teasing us, Adam, that maybe he can play this weekend. Maybe they're doing the good old Jets thing, where they're just like, I want to keep this hidden for as long as we can so we can have whatever it is. But Joe Burrow was back at practice. That's great news. We'll see. They'll have to tell us sooner rather than later if he can play this weekend, but he still looks like he's eyeing that Thanksgiving game next week.
Yeah, they're just leaving the door open.
They
Maybe he
said
plays
maybe we
this
can,
weekend.
maybe we
We'll
can.
see.
What is it? Oh, the competitive advantage. I forgot. Yeah, that's the competitive advantage, right? That the Jets.
Yeah, that only works for the Jets, though. Aaron Glenn has that on lock.
Well, at least he told us early this week, right? He's like, we're not going to mess around. It's Tyrod Taylor.
Well, then Taylor's going to go out there, struggle, and they're going to go to Fields.
What are we doing? What are they going to do with Fields? Well, he got the 2-year deal.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they got all those picks now, though, to be honest. I just hope they don't mess that up.
Well, they already did with their second win. So Titans are 1-9. They're in control. So
I don't think they want a quarterback from this class. This quarterback class is not very strong from everything that I've read. I haven't dove into that very much, but it's a Thursday. Leave me alone. I haven't gone into that very much, but I have been reading that the quarterback class coming in is not very strong.
Don't worry. I mean, the Jets always make the right decisions. They'll figure it out.
What
So they'll have a big game against the Saints in week 16. That's going to be a big game.
That will be.
For obviously, we're talking draft purposes here.
They're gonna be like, let's just lose.
The Titans, though, can they win a game? Probably not, right?
What's their? I don't know. What's
see
their
their
rest of the season schedule?
They have the Seahawks, home to Jacksonville, at Cleveland, at San Fran, home to Kansas City, home to the Saints. So that Saints have back-to-back weeks. Jets and Titans, boy, you talk about some tanking going on. That's going to be epic tanking, those games in Jacksonville. So
they could maybe win one.
Yeah, the Saints at home.
Saints. Yeah, that feels like a good win. We haven't talked about the Titans at all
I mean,
since the
there's nothing to
season
talk about.
started.
I mean, is anyone
1-9.
starting anyone in the Titans in
No, I
fantasy right
mean,
now?
maybe very desperately you're starting Tony Pollard,
I'm not gonna
Tajay
lie, I
Spears.
am starting
Oh,
Spears in a
Adam,
league.
don't do this to
My
yourself.
running backs are decimated.
I know, but you were just making fun of them. You're like, I
Sometimes you
just
have
did him.
no
I'm one of
choice.
them.
All I'm asking for Spears is to catch 4 passes and maybe find the end zone.
He's not going to do that. I'll tell
But
you that.
yeah,
1-9.
the receivers too. You can't really
Oh,
start any of them.
horrible. I know. Maybe I got a Chimera DK question.
Yeah, I saw he's
a couple
healthy.
days
I was
ago.
worried he got hurt
Yeah,
last week. I guess. I
you
mean,
can't. No, don't do it.
it has to be if you're desperate.
Go pick. You know what? Go pick Jaden Higgins up if you're in the Chimera DK. Like, should I start him range? Just go pick up a better potential wide receiver that could. I have been holding on. You've heard me talk about Jaden Higgins. I've been holding on to him all year, and I just feel like something could happen here these next couple weeks. Maybe even this week. But
Tonight?
wouldn't that be nice? What are his props at?
It's got to be low. It's probably
not
in the
giving you
20.
betting
No,
advice.
actually, I wonder if it's higher. He's had 2 decent games. He's playing
Yeah.
more. I think that's the positive aspect. I don't think you still feel great about playing him. I do have him in a couple deeper leagues, and I am not playing him, but I've just kept him holding on. Actually,
I have
wow,
too.
it is in the 20s. It's
Is
28
it?
and a half.
Yeah.
Anywhere from 28 and a half to 30 and a half. He's gone over that the last 2 games, and actually 3 of the last 4. He had 4 for 55 against Tennessee, 5 for 42 with a touchdown against Jacksonville. So I think the encouraging thing is he's finally
He's getting
running more
playing time.
routes.
Yeah, he's getting more playing time. That's all that you want. That's what we look at for the utilization report, is to just point out those players. So if you have Jaden Higgins like myself, just hang on maybe a little while longer, maybe all season. We'll never know here, Adam, until it happens, but we can at least be optimistic about it. A player we can't be optimistic about is that the Bills plan to bench Keon Coleman again tonight. That must have been a heck of a meeting that he missed. It has to be something else
Something
going on.
more.
It's got to be. That is not. I don't think I've ever been on the radio and talked about a player being benched where we know days in advance. And I know they played tonight, so that's going to make it a little bit different. But where he's been benched for consecutive weeks. So he's expected to sit today for this game going up against the Texans. It really hasn't been fully explained why Keon Coleman is really fallen out of favor in Buffalo. We know that just his role and what they did to get him, everything like that in the draft. I think expectations were high, but there's obviously other things going on here that we're not going to speculate what that is. But if you have Keon Coleman, I don't even think you've been playing him, so you know that he's been on your bench anyway. But that's just I don't know, Adam, to me, a really disappointing development, because there were high hopes for Keon Coleman, and it just has not happened. And I think that really has ruined a lot of their plans for the future, where they have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and figure out what they're going to do. Because the one thing that I'll stand by is that I do believe for Buffalo, and I don't even think this is a hot take, that when we come to the end of the season, we're going to look back at them not doing anything at the trade deadline and not getting a wide receiver and say, well, that is why they were not able to go as far as they could have. I know that they said that they were in talks for Jaylen Waddle, but you didn't get it done. So you don't have anyone out there that we're necessarily excited to start. It's really Khalil Shakir, who is going to be playing tonight. And then it's James Cook, and then it's Josh Allen. And that's about it, which is really disappointing.
Boy, people got fooled really bad after week one.
I was
one
of them.
11 targets, 8 for 112 and a touchdown, and all the Coleman truthers threw a victory parade. They're like, this is it. And it has been nothing but depression and goose eggs the rest of the way. It has been he hasn't had more than 46 receiving yards in any other game the rest of the way. Just 2 touchdowns. Boy, you talk about a tease. Keon Coleman, week 1, teased the hell out of you guys. As you can tell, I have no Keon Coleman.
Yeah, I can tell. Whatever. I have him in one spot. I just wanted. It's not even that I've fully loved Keon Coleman, and reading everything of him coming out of college, I wasn't like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely he's going to be it for this team. But I just want a wide receiver out of him. Is it so hard to ask when we have QB1 Josh Allen that we talk so highly about every single week? Is it not just? I don't think it's crazy to ask for a really nice wide receiver for him. I don't think that's crazy. That's what I wanted, to just say immediate. Exactly. It's just like when we say with Patrick Mahomes, okay, hopefully you can start any receiver that he has. It's just like, no, we haven't been able to do that with Josh Allen. So
Yeah, they
That's been
spread it
disappointing.
around too much. There's 10
I
different
know.
guys catching a pass. I mean, the one guy that I think you started to feel good about was Dalton Kincaid, and once again, injuries are a factor for him with his hamstring, and who knows if he's even back next week. You knew he wasn't coming back this week
Yeah.
on a short week. Shakir again has been fine, but he's not a number one. You're getting 5 for 50, and you hope he finds the end zone. But yeah, it's disappointing. They just spread it around too much, and I think people had hopes that Coleman in his second year would take a step up, but it is not happened at all. And then this is very concerning with what's going on right now because there has to be
Yeah.
more than what they're letting on. There clearly is
It
something
has to
else
be.
going on.
Yeah, it's not, this isn't normal. So I remember Sean McDermott saying that he needs to see Coleman show growth to get back onto the field. But again, we're not going to speculate here. That's not what we're here to do. So we can just tell you that Keon Coleman is not going to play tonight. He's going to be inactive for the second consecutive game, and we'll see where they go from here. Again, we talked about Lamar Jackson, so he should be good to go. Just to hit this one again, because it happened during the show yesterday. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. Emari Demercado ruled out for week 12 going up against Jacksonville Jaguars. So we've talked a little bit about Bam Knight maybe getting a little bit more work here. We'll have to just wait and see. And I know it's just really annoying to say, but we really do just have to wait and see with some of the other injury reports with Trey Benson, if he's able to come back this week or not. I think that's one that maybe some people, I'm waiting on him in one, to be totally honest with you. So I'm just waiting to see if he's going to be good to go this week or not. If he's not, though, next guy's up. You've got Bam Knight, Michael Carter, maybe as the pass catcher there. He could be in some flex consideration, but those are the two you go with. And then Michael Wilson, of course. Greg Dortch. There
Or
you
yeah.
go. Greg Dortch, I think, is in flex territory.
Yeah, Trey Benson, I would just guess he probably needs another week. They just opened that
That's what I would
21-day
think.
window when he's back at practice. That is someone that a lot of people have been waiting on. I know I have him in a couple
Me.
leagues too. So
Yep.
they play Jacksonville this week. Nice total there, 47 and a half. And we'll see if Trey McBride scores again.
How about twice?
I'll take it.
I'm going with two touchdowns there, because that's what I need to be
I'm cu-
totally
what
to be
are his
totally
odds
honest
to
with you.
score a touchdown? Let's see. His
It's
receiving
gotta,
yards are 79 and a half.
yeah,
Score a
that sounds right.
plus. Well, I see plus 110 on Bet
What?
365. I see minus 130 on DK, minus
Yeah,
120 on FanDuel. We've gotten to that level with Trey McBride to score two touchdowns, like you said. Plus
how's that?
475 on
There we
DK,
go.
plus 700 on Bet 365.
Lock that in, Adam.
Lock.
Please.
Wait, you're
Yeah,
locking
lock
in
it
a
in.
two
Lock it
touchdown?
in. Why not?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, why not? Who says no? Jacoby Brissett out there? That's why I said Kyler Murray. I've loved Kyler Murray, but yeah, take your time coming back. I think, he needs to take a few more weeks. Well, he's at the 2 week mark right now, right? Or is this the third game that he would be out
I think it's
where
the.
he could come back?
I think it's the third.
Wow, that's gone
Right?
by. Time flies when you're having fun with
Yeah.
Jacoby. With Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. I see a question here from I think it's Bry. So I'm looking at this one. Guillotine League on the chopping block. Ugh, same here. I've got a lot of decisions I need to make. Week 12 buys, injuries. Josh Allen on a short week on the road versus the Texans defense. Any universe where I start Purdy over Allen in guillotine. Purdy going up
I
against the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if I could do it.
The thing with Allen, yes, the Texans defense is very good. Allen could score 2 rushing touchdowns,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we
Yeah.
know near the goal line he's getting a lot. You're looking for a floor too in guillotine leagues. Like Purdy can go out there and pass for 260 yards and throw one or no touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think you go. I understand the Texans are a good defense. This is a big game for both teams.
Oh yeah. But
Like
yes.
the Texans are 5-5 right now,
Yeah,
right?
they have a
Yeah.
chance. Yeah, they have a chance. I mean, Davis Mills, for what it's worth, he is not. I mean, he's not taking him down at all. If anything, I mean, we talked about him with Nico Collins over there and how it's been really good if you're a Nico Collins manager. Houston has allowed. I'll say this: Houston has allowed the fewest fantasy points. Fourth fewest passing yards, sixth fewest passing touchdowns, second lowest completion rate. We know this defense is good to quarterbacks. So no quarterback has reached 20 fantasy points against the Texans, but I don't think I can go far enough to say, because like you said, he could get it done on the ground. 2 touchdowns, and then you say to yourself, perfect. I'm so glad I started Josh Allen this week in guillotine.
Yeah, Houston has allowed the fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks this year. Let's see. They have not faced many good ones. The best quarterback they've faced this year is Stafford and Baker Mayfield, and that was back in week 1 and week 2.
Yeah, that's a
Baker
good
at
test.
250. Yeah, Baker at 215, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries for 33. Stafford at 245 and 1 touchdown. That was week 1, where he wasn't really participating. I think in like he came back to training camp very late, right?
Yeah.
So, there might have been a rust factor there, but I mean, some of the quarterbacks they faced recently, Cam Ward, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, Mac Jones, Sam Darnold. So, it's not like they faced the top guys. And Mac Jones did have 193 and 2 touchdowns. They've been giving up rushing yards, though. Look at this.
Mhm.
Cam Ward, 33, Trevor Lawrence, 35, Bo Nix, 36. So, Josh Allen,
So we're saying on the ground.
yeah. And again, in a guillotine league, you're looking for a high floor. And even if Josh Allen has a bad game tonight, I got to think with what he can do on the ground. And he's got 7 rushing touchdowns the last 4 weeks.
He can make up for it. Let's just say,
Yeah.
I know we're saying we're downgrading all of the wide receivers against this Houston Texans defense because they've allowed the second fewest fantasy points to receivers, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it's Josh Allen being downgraded, because that's why we like to draft dual threat quarterbacks, because even though we're downgrading his wide receivers, we're still looking at Josh Allen as a top option. This isn't Guillotine League rankings, but he's our consensus QB3. Lamar Jackson, Drake May ahead of him. So I'm playing him.
Yeah, I would too.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines now. Again, 888-963-2682. We're going to try and get to as many questions as we can here. But let's start off with Tom in Long Island. Tom, what do you got for us?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I'm in a PPR league. I've got to start 3 running backs. I have Woody Marks, TreVeyon Henderson, Breece Hall, Kamara, and Kareem Hunt.
Kamara and Hunt. How many? 2?
3.
3. Oh, I like that. Well, I think you're starting Henderson no matter what, right, Adam? Even if Rhamondre comes back, this is a nice matchup for them.
Yeah, I think both guys can go off against the Bengals this
Very
week. So
nice.
this is a week we probably do not need to worry about
Hopefully
Stevenson
not.
coming back.
And
And
then I would do Woody Marks and I don't necessarily love Hall. Breece Hall's my RB 18 this week, but Kamara I think is a little bit back further. He's my 24, so I guess I would go Hall there. What about you?
yeah, I think I know Kamara had the huge volume
Yeah,
before the bye, and the change of quarterback has helped. It is Atlanta. Oof.
they're
Yeah.
really close.
I mean, Hall could benefit. I'm going to go Hall. I mean, he's just getting
Mhm.
massive volume. The hope for Hall is now with Taylor back that he gets more involved in the passing game. Fields had Hall wide open several times and didn't throw him the ball.
Yep.
Yes, I was on the reception
I
prop.
can tell.
Receiving
I was
yards
like,
for
well,
Breece
how
Hall.
did you
I'm
know
like, Breece
that?
Hall, he's open right there. And Fields is looking complete opposite way, trying to chuck the ball down the field. I'm like, take the easy yards right there.
You're so funny. I love when you've got bets on these guys because like they're just the littlest.
Oh, yeah, you
facts
watch a
about
little
them in those
closer.
games. You do. I mean, you just, like you said, you just hope he gets a little bit more involved in the passing game. Baltimore's defense is getting better, but I don't think they're at their peak yet. So you can still, get them in this one for week 12. So we're gonna go Hall, Henderson, Woody Marks there. But understandably, Kamara's kind of close. Appreciate you calling in there, Tom. Let's get another here. Let's go out to Chris in Canada. Chris, what do you got for us?
Hi, I have a question regarding DJ Moore.
Don't play him.
Preseason, his over/under yards for yardage was pretty good. Put him at an ADP, and if you bet the under, you're laughing. Anyways, yeah, and I'm just asking about Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie. Like Adonai Mitchell had 6 targets, only 1 reception. He was open for a lot of them. It was Justin Fields throwing the ball. I know the Ravens defense isn't that great. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, and thanks for taking my call.
Oh my gosh, of course, Chris. I'm in the same spot with DJ Moore in a couple places, Adam, and it's not a fun time. Let's just say that, because for as much as we've been saying that Caleb Williams, we have to just lower expectations. He's really a spot start. What has DJ Moore been doing for you? I mean, it's been awful.
It's
Awful.
crazy how bad it is. And I've drafted DJ Moore every single year. I'm a huge fan. This year, I did not draft him, but I did not
Lucky.
think it was going to get to this level. I
The
mean,
last 2 weeks.
I mean,
You got
the drops. I don't know
Oh.
what's going on with him.
I don't think he wants to be there. We had that conversation. Remember, they were going back and forth, but I can't even remember if it was week 1 or right before
the situation is better now. So like, why wouldn't you want to be there?
I just don't think they have the chemistry, to be totally honest. It's been bad. But if you're asking me between DJ Moore, AD Mitchell, I would still go DJ Moore this week at least, because at least they're playing the Steelers. You would go AD Mitchell?
No, I would probably look for something else.
Well, I would. Okay. I would too, but if you're giving those options.
Look, AD Mitchell can get open. That is clear.
Yeah, but
you look at the metrics, you watch. Yeah, that's the thing. It's every other aspect of football. The intelligence, dropping the ball before the goal line. Like, it's all the other factors that make AD Mitchell struggle.
So if you're asking us between the
it wouldn't be a surprise though if Mitchell has some good games here down the stretch.
Well, he has to have some kind of positive regression at some point, right? But I think, like, at least in this game here for Caleb Williams, this is a better start against this Steelers defense.
For DJ Moore?
No, for Caleb Williams, which then in turn hopefully turns to DJ Moore. I'm starting DJ Moore over AD Mitchell. I can't go that far.
Do you have DJ Moore in a league where you're starting him right now?
Yep, sure do.
Oh boy, that is rough.
Horrible. Well, it's one of the high stakes where you've got 3 wide receivers and the flex spots. There's no other place I can go.
That sucks. You go into a week knowing you're only going to get like 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, 2 or 3 points. But maybe now that we're talking about him, he'll hear us and get the 22-point outing like we got against Cincinnati, right?
Well, that's the Bengals.
Well, that's why, maybe friend of the show, DJ Moore. Yeah, I don't know. Chris, appreciate you calling in though. I would definitely go DJ Moore in that spot though. And maybe hit the waiver wire. Hopefully some other wide receivers are out there, because there could be still some floating around, Adam. Like one Jaden Higgins, for whatever reason, if someone dropped Alec Pierce, like there could be some guys floating around that you could look at. So make sure you go to fantasylife.com though if you've got more questions for us. We're going to continue going through as many questions as we can, but we're going to continue on here. So I want to make sure that we go through the trust meter, where we're at with some of these players going into week 12. We're going to give you those names here coming up next. Vibes are immaculate. It is a Thursday. Someone tweeted at me saying that they've got their Folgers K-Cup going. Oh, it was Jim. Yeah. No, it's a great day, Adam. When I start getting the Folgers tweets, I just know. We're all locked in.
First of all, my feelings on that. I didn't have any coffee today. Did you before the show?
Oh, yeah. Every single day.
I don't do it every single day. There's been some day. Yeah. Yesterday I did. Today I didn't. I don't know why.
I need it every single time. Absolutely. Well, it's 7 a.m. I need a cup of coffee. You're rolling out of bed at what time? Like,
it's a little earlier. I mean, a little later in the day for me, but it's still considered early for me. Again, I'm a night owl.
I know you could. You could sleep till when? If
how
you
late?
Could, yeah. Like
so. In the past, I used to be able to do 11 a.m. noon. I can't do that anymore. Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I might be able to lay in bed till like 11.
Doom scrolling. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're on your phone, you're listening to something. Like I could probably do that, but
definitely.
I don't think I could sleep anymore till 11 a.m.
Noon is crazy.
In the past that was easy. I can't do it anymore.
I would think my day is ruined. I'd be like, wow, I got nothing done today.
That's because your bedtime's 6 p.m. That's why.
If I'm not completing a task by like 9, it's like the day's over. It's like
by 9 a.m.
Yeah, 9:30.
I don't feel that way.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. Anyway, enjoy your Folgers there, Jim. I know I'm enjoying mine as well. I've got some more questions here that I want to hit, and they kind of do coincide with this trust meter where I'm going to give you some names. You're going to go scale of 1 to 10 on how much you trust him. But I saw this one about Ladd McConkey and Emeka Egbuka. So this is from Felix. Shout out to Felix, always listening to us, sending in these questions. Should we expect a bounce back from McConkey and Egbuka? So this week, you don't have to worry about Ladd McConkey because the Chargers are on a bye. But Emeka Egbuka has been one where you not disappointed, but he hasn't been giving you the numbers that we were talking about earlier in the season, right? And it's him coming off that hamstring injury that obviously limited him. But 23 fantasy points against Buffalo. Against New England. 9 points last week against Buffalo. They take on the Rams this weekend. What do you think the run out is for him? Their schedule for the playoffs for fantasy: week 15 against Atlanta. Oh, this is nice. Week 16 at Carolina, week 17 at Miami. You like that? That's good.
Yeah, the expectations got probably too high for Egbuka because there was no other receivers there. So now teams can focus on him a little bit. I think the injury was a factor. Chris Godwin is practicing today. I don't know if he plays. And even if he does,
what does that do?
I think what it does, it just at least maybe potentially draws some attention away from Egbuka.
Yeah.
But again, the targets are going to be there. The volume's going to be there, even if Godwin comes back. And that's what we want. So they do have some better matchups coming up. So I still feel good about Egbuka. I think he'll be fine going forward.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's someone that, like you said, maybe expectations were a little high. I think even for the Bucs, they didn't expect to have to utilize Egbuka in the ways that they were because of their injuries with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So he was, and you mentioned this, Adam, he was asked to do a lot, and he is still doing well. You're just going to have some of these games where we say we're not used to it. And the stretch before the bye too wasn't necessarily great. 4.4, 9.8, 6.5, but it feels like it does lighten up just a little bit here when we're looking at the rest of the season. So you're still obviously keeping him if you have him. And Tampa Bay against this Rams team, that'll be a great game too, by the way. We've got only a handful of good games this week, but thank goodness, because yeah, some of them aren't great this week.
And the
one, just say that.
Again, we talk about utilization all the time. I mean, the last 4 weeks, 12 targets, 9, 13, 9. Anytime you're getting a player getting that much volume. And yeah, there were a couple of down games in there, but he's also come close to scoring touchdowns, just missed, whether it's a throw off target or he didn't make a play. So as long as he's getting that volume, I'm good with it.
Dwayne McFarland does the comps for the rest of the season, which are always so great. If you guys want to go and check those out at fantasylife.com. So his comps average 17.3 points, 87% recording top 12 seasons. Even if you want to take it down a notch and say, oh, okay, I'm not that optimistic about Emeka Egbuka, even the middle, like the median projection here, when we look at this approach, 77 utilization score for the season. If we take that, his historical comps have averaged 15.2 points, 60% finishing inside the top 18. Which sounds a lot more reasonable, and that sounds like probably where he's going to go to end the year. So you're happy about Emeka Egbuka. Ladd McConkey, I mean, the Chargers as a whole, it couldn't get worse than what we saw last week, right? I mean, it really just can. I think you and I have talked about this before, Adam, but this really goes to show like their injuries on that offensive line are taking a hit. And so we'll have to wait and see if Emari and Hampton's able to come back, because they were really looking at him saying that he could come back after the bye. We haven't heard anything yet, but Kamani Vidal was banged up in that last game before their bye as well. Hopefully he's good to go. But I've downgraded this whole offense because it's been that bad. I mean, Justin Herbert as well. It just hasn't looked good.
Yeah, you are definitely concerned if you're invested in the Chargers offense right now. After the bye, they do get the Raiders. You like that. But look at the schedule after that. Philadelphia, Kansas City, Dallas, the Texans, and the Broncos. You're talking about some of the top defenses in the NFL. So, yeah, you are worried. I think with McConkey, though, not as much. We saw he started the season slow, but he's been relatively consistent since that point. And this past week, obviously, was down for everybody. They just couldn't generate any offense. They couldn't move the ball. Herbert was under pressure like 50% of the time. So that's a game that you just throw out the window. But yes, there are concerns about this offense going forward. McConkey, though, would probably be the one guy you feel best about.
Yeah, and then we'll see. Wouldn't it be nice to get Emari and Hampton back?
I would like that as someone
nice.
who is holding onto him in one league. I do have Vidal in that league, though Vidal has been every other week. It's a great week and then a bad week.
Can't string them together, just like good old Kyler Murray. Can't string. I don't know why. It's just Kyler Murray taking
shots at
strays
Kyler
this today. I know. I'm so sorry, Kyler. It's just been, when Jacoby Brissett is helping you get more fantasy points from your receiver, it's just tough to look at that and not just laugh. But yeah, they're on their bye this week, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Let me go trust meter and ask you about Stefon Diggs. I've seen a couple Stefon Diggs questions today. I feel like this is a good time to ask about him, obviously, but Stefon Diggs had the season high 89% route participation rate week 11 against the Jets. You see that story where he said that he was playing with a broken finger? Did you read that?
Oh, I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, it reveals he played through a broken finger after he returned from his ACL, his torn ACL that ended in 2024 season. He was answering questions during one of the press conferences and said that he has played through a broken finger. But look at that. He downplayed it, though, so you don't have to worry about it, I don't think. But you do like the route participation rate, week 11. If he really is getting this full-time role the rest of the way, this could be really exciting.
Yeah, they've kind of eased him in. You also have to give him the baby bump, too. Just had a baby, right?
Oh, Okay. Well, hey,
Right.
Khalil Shakir too.
Shakir, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Should we get like a
Well,
touchdown
Shakir,
thing
it didn't
going?
work for him last week.
Oh, was it last week?
Well, I don't
It
know.
was this week. No, he missed practice yesterday, right?
When was the baby born?
I
Do
think
we
it was
know?
yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Because didn't he miss practice? But they said he was going to be okay.
Yeah, personal. Okay, so then, well,
I
he
don't
could have been
know.
up and not got much sleep and not
All
have a lot of
night?
energy like you tomorrow.
Hey, watch it. Sabrina's going to get me through the day. Come on.
But yeah, I definitely feel like Diggs has gone up the rankings for rest of the season significantly. They were kind of slow playing him, easing him in. He had the huge game against Buffalo in the revenge game, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit. But it's picked up. 3 touchdowns the last 4 games, and then even last week, a season second best high, 11 targets, 9 for 105. Yeah, he's looked good. So yeah, you're feeling really good about Diggs the rest of the way.
Yeah, you want the route participation to stick, right? Because that's the one thing where I still have him as a high-end wide receiver 3, to be totally honest, because I'm not there yet. I want to see it in consecutive weeks, but he ranks 10th in targets per route run at 25% in the NFL out of all wide receivers with at least 250 routes. So I'm looking at him and saying, I don't want to continue seeing this part-time role. Give Stephon Diggs a little bit more, and then he can really continue to climb the rankings, because Drake May's just playing at this level. I asked you at the beginning of the show, your least favorite pick, someone that's been bugging you. My favorite pick this season has been Drake May. We talked about him all off season. It really is nice to see that one paying off a little bit, because you got him in those later rounds where you were able to hopefully get good wide receivers, running backs, maybe a elite tight end before that. And then Drake May's just, like I said, he's my QB1 this week, actually.
I would say he was probably the best pick at quarterback this year, right? Can you think of someone that was better considering the price and what you've gotten?
No, he has to be.
He has to be the best, right? Am I missing someone? Stafford.
Stafford.
I mean,
the
problem.
It could be Stafford, to be honest.
You could make a case,
mean,
but
I know he's cooled off, but Daniel Jones also needs to be at least in consideration.
I think May's
cooled
been
off.
Yeah, I think.
But May's been better 1,000%.
The points per game actually are close in 6 points for a passing touchdown. I mean, I guess you can make an argument for Stafford. The thing with Stafford, though, was like, you might not have started him the first 5-6 weeks of the season, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't start like this. Also, like, what if you drafted May and Stafford?
I bet there's teams like that. Send them in at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there. There's probably teams with an elite quarterback and Stafford, to be honest. That's a second quarterback. I mean, that's a second QB that we always say. I guess if you're in those 1 QB leagues and you want to take a second backup quarterback, which usually I don't do, I just go and stream for the bye week. But I'm sure there's a lot of good teams with an elite quarterback, and also like Matthew Stafford, who's been really good for you in fantasy football this year. That's tough decisions that you have to make every week.
Or picked up off the waiver wire, Stafford.
Yeah.
Because again, like, how did you see this coming for Stafford? He has not been a good fantasy quarterback the last 3 years or 2 years.
No, there's no chance.
There was no. And then he had the back issue.
Yeah, that's the thing that really upsets me, is that that's what made me start passing up on Puka, because it was the back injury, or they said, you know what, this is going to linger all season, all this other stuff. So that was the other part where I kind of like dove into that and said, okay, well, if that's the case, and you add on that Matthew Stafford hasn't been a good fantasy. Now we're talking fantasy. This is not real life. That is a whole different conversation when we're talking about Matthew Stafford in real life. But for fantasy, he hasn't done it for us. So I completely downgraded him this offseason.
The last 3 years for Stafford, 10 touchdown passes in 9 games, 24 touchdowns, 20 touchdowns, the last 3 years. Then a 37-year-old dealing with a back injury all camp. How did anyone see him being in the MVP conversation, throwing 27 touchdowns in 10 games, like having one of his best seasons in a while, on pace potentially for one of his best seasons, not yardage-wise, but touchdowns. I mean, he has 27 touchdowns in 10 games. He had 41 in 2011 and 41 in 2021. So there's no way anyone saw this coming. And, yeah, then you probably picked him up off the waiver wire. I mean, look, if you had a Jaden Daniels and you picked him up, it worked out. You know, you have some luck this year. But, yeah, I guess you could make a case Stafford was the best. I still go Drake May, because you were starting Drake May probably since early in the season.
Yeah, but
But
man, Matthew
you can make
Stafford,
a
these
case for
numbers.
Stafford.
Oh my goodness. And going up against Tampa this weekend, I want to keep breaking down this game at least with Puka Nacua because I think there's some meat left on the bone. We've got some stats that I want to throw at you just about his usage overall and what we can expect the rest of the season. Also want to continue going through the matchups. Some guys that you have to downgrade a little bit, some guys to upgrade though because of the teams that they're playing against. We're going to break those down here coming up next. As always, appreciate everyone hanging out with us here on this Thursday. We're going to start breaking down Thursday night football, continue going through your questions as well at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. That's a good song, by the way. Very catchy. Can I tell you this stat for Puka Nacua, and then we can stop talking about how good the Rams are? Well, for Puka Nacua, actually, it's kind of interesting. So his overall utilization has dipped, right? We've seen that over the past couple of weeks. So I saw the stat, and Matt Harmon over at Yahoo did a great article that you guys can go and check out. But saw this, that since he returned from injury in week 9, he has played just 6 snaps in 13 personnel. He's run 0 routes. Devontae Adams has run 16. And so when we're looking at this since week 6, Nacua hasn't cracked 60% of the snaps, and his route participation numbers are 55%, 65%, 62%, 75%. I just thought that was really interesting with the 13 personnel because he has just not been out there. And then you have to believe that going forward, not that this doesn't matter because you're starting Puka Nacua every time and he's still an elite guy. There could be more though for him, Adam, which is kind of scary to say. Like, I don't think that they can stay in that. They just can't continue to do that the whole rest of the season. I just think there's no doubt that we're going to see them lean back into 11 personnel a little bit more as the season goes on. And then when they do that, a little bit more for Puka. You're never thinking about benching Puka. He's been so amazing this season. But I just think it's interesting with looking at Devontae Adams and all the, the targets in the red zone, everything else like that, that we could see a little bit of a shift as the season continues.
Well, they did lose one of their tight ends. Tyler Higbee was placed on injured reserve, but they still have Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson. I think a lot of it, too, is they probably are easing him back in, coming off the injury as well. Mm-hmm. The numbers are still there. They're not what they were the first 4 or 5 games of the season where he was just absolutely getting 10 catches every game. You look at the last 3, you're like, they're fine, but they're not top 3 level,
it's not
right?
Puka.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any reason to worry. I do think you also have to hope that they are in more competitive games. Now, they were against Seattle, but they only ran 50 plays. Yeah. So that's why, 7 for 75, 8 targets, you'll take it. The 49ers game was pretty, I don't know if it was, they were in control the whole way. They didn't need to push it. He had 5 for 64 and a touchdown. They blew out the Saints 34-10. He had 7 for 95 and a touchdown. That was his first game back from the injury. So the big difference is the target share, right? He had at least 9 targets in the first 5 games, including double digits in 4. He has not reached double-digit targets since October 2nd. So, yeah. And we know that when they get in the red zone, it's either a run to Kyren Williams-Okoron or Devontae Adams is catching a pass.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I don't think you should worry too much.
No.
It's that he's not in that upper tier receiver level though right now with those lack of targets.
And my thing is that I think that they change from this. Like, they go away from this a little bit more as the season progresses. Like, I don't think I could see them continuing in really leaning into it that much.
I guess, okay, look at their schedule. Home to Tampa Bay. Is that game going to be competitive?
I think it's going to be competitive. But then,
okay. At Carolina?
Not competitive. No.
At Arizona? Home to Detroit should be. At Seattle will be. At Atlanta, no.
So there's maybe 4.
Again, he can still go 7 for 75 and a touchdown in those games, which is fine. But we were like looking at a huge difference maker for Puka. Like, if you had Puka on your team, you're like, okay, I'm getting 25 every week. We can't say that right now.
No, it's that's JSN. You look at JSN and you say, okay, that's where we can look. But still, you're not worried. Like, I'm not worried about Puka Nacua. If anything, Adam, I'm looking at this saying that there's obviously still meat left on the bone. And if they really do start going away from that, and that, like, they go away from that 13 personnel where he's just not out there, then he's going to get more and he's going to get his. That's what I'm thinking.
I also want to see how much are they running on those 13 personnel formations. That would be because if they're running a lot in those formations, then I don't care if Puka's
Yeah, I
out
don't
there,
have
right?
that.
Because
Yeah.
he's not blocking, less of a risk to get hurt. So
Yeah, that's true. So I'm just saying those were interesting numbers. Again, that was from Matt Harmon at Yahoo. So there's a whole article on this that's really good. So you guys can go and check that one out. Let me just say this. How about this? Matchup highs and lows. When we're looking at this, I've seen a few questions on Tet McMillan. You think he's able to? Now we're really shifting here. But do you think what Tet McMillan do we get? What Bryce Young do we get? I think that's the question. You think we get 33 fantasy points every week? No.
yeah,
But do
no.
you think we've hit the point in the season where we're going to get the end of season Bryce Young run like we saw last year that made some people, me, believe that maybe he'd turned a corner? Like it was so encouraging though to see what Tet McMillan was able to do, Tet Aroa was able to do here. 26.8% target rate, 7 red zone targets. Like it's all there over the past 5 weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, we talked about it. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I think McMillan's been better than what you think. He's 18th
Well,
in
that's because
points per
I'm
game.
playing him.
I am too.
Hasn't
I
been.
have him in
Yeah, but
my
that
best
hasn't been
team.
fun for you though.
What do you mean it
It's not your
hasn't?
best team because of Tedero McMillan.
Oh
It's
well,
been up and down.
the floor's been high every week.
Yeah.
Look, he has 4 touchdowns and they came in 2 games, 2 against Dallas, 2 last week. It comes down to Bryce Young because McMillan has been doing a solid job considering how poor Young has played. So if Young can finish this season strong like he did last year, then yeah, we're going to get a really good finish from McMillan. If last week was just an aberration and that's the best we're going to see from Young the rest of the year, McMillan still can get you on a given week, 10 to 14 points in a PPR. So I think you have to feel good. And this is a spot where they're probably playing from behind. We know the 49ers defense is not close to what it has been. They've had injuries, and you could move the ball on them. So I'd expect another good game from McMillan this week.
My wide receiver 14. Look at him. I'll be excited to play him this weekend. That's for sure. So you can hope for, like you said, you can hope for the best. We're going to continue on through these matchups, answering your questions, and of course, breaking down this Thursday night football game tonight. We're going to do all of that here coming up next. You guys are winning your leagues. I know that for a fact because you're hanging out with us and we know that you guys have just done an amazing job so far this season, but it is still time to keep your foot down there on the gas. We've got a game tonight here, Adam. Hopefully competitive, right? It'll be good. It'll be good. I think that, a lot of the questions are around, what the Bills are going to look like. If you've got the Bills, you've got Josh Allen, you've got James Cook. You know that for sure. Khalil Shakir is playing in this one. For the Texans, I've seen a couple of Woody Marks questions, and I think we've gone through this before, but the really big question is, has Woody Marks taken over the RB1 job for Houston? And I really do think he has. Now, that hasn't necessarily produced fantasy points. When you look at it last week, you're going to be disappointed, 6.1 fantasy points, but over the last 2 weeks and what you've wanted to see from Marks is him really break away from Nick Chubb. And we've kind of gotten that. So you've got, he's taken 72% of the snaps, 78% of the rushing attempts. He's averaged 11.1 fantasy points. Again, not necessarily amazing. But in this matchup tonight, you might be looking at Woody Marks as one of the running backs that you're starting.
I think in almost every scenario, unless you're in a shallow format, you're starting Woody Marks. Because this matchup is as good as it gets. The Bills have just been getting gashed on the ground. They've allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. They've allowed over 200 yards rushing the last 2 weeks. We saw what Sean Tucker did last week. HN ripped them up. So they've really been struggling stopping running backs. It has, as you mentioned, it has not been great for Woody Marks because the volume was there last week and we did not get the production. But they have to be able to run the ball tonight to stay in this game. So I do think Woody Marks, this probably could be his best game of the season. And you're going to roll him out there. And if it doesn't work out this week, then we have some concerns the rest of the year.
I've got a question here from Wayne saying start Josh Allen or Drake May this week. Ooh, I'm telling you, I've got Drake May as my QB1.
So you would start him.
Yeah, I would.
Clearly.
Drake May against the Bengals?
That is true.
Come on. I mean, Houston, here's the thing. It's still Josh Allen. He can get it done on the ground, but And he's averaging 29.6 fantasy points per game at home this season, 17.4 points per game on the road. So that's the split that you're looking at. With this Texans team, though, again, they've allowed the fewest fantasy points, fourth fewest passing yards, sixth fewest passing touchdowns, second lowest completion rate at 58%. You downgrade a little bit. It's still Josh Allen, but I think if you're asking between Josh Allen and Drake May, I would go Drake May.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, again, it's always tough to bench a guy like Allen because he could get 2 rushing touchdowns, he could get 3. And as difficult as the matchup is for the Texans, for Allen, it's the same on the Texans side. I mean, they haven't faced a quarterback like this. So I would have said you should have traded one of those guys, but I also understand trading a quarterback is very difficult. No one wants to give up anything for a quarterback.
Ray says, I love Jayden Higgins tonight against the Bills. Listen, I'm not starting him, but if you do have Jayden Higgins, it's still someone that you want to hang on to, because I think as we continue to see his role grow a little bit, he could end up being that wide receiver 2 on this offense where, again, I know that we have to wait and see, what the concussion protocol looks like for CJ Stroud. It feels like he should be back next week. But Jayden Higgins has come a long way since the start of the season. So he's really jumped up that depth chart. But that's why we say it's always a lot easier to get those backup running backs, because they have a clearer path to playing time than these other wide receivers that, he's been behind Christian Kirk this season. There's been questions with him, but yeah, hold on to him.
Yeah, it's been encouraging from what you've seen. It's taken way too much time to get these rookies involved in offense, but you feel better about Higgins going forward.
Who are you taking tonight? You got the Bills? You're going Bills.
I think this is going to be a close game. I lean Bills, but I think we're getting a very close competitive game tonight.
All right, I like it. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. Make sure you send in some more questions. We'll try and answer as many as we can. I'm going to a concert tonight, Adam. I'll definitely see you in the morning, though.
I hope.